In my suitcase over there, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to wear.
I got Jordans in black and gray.
Yeah.
And, right.
Yeah, exactly. New York City and Kentucky doesn't work very well.
No, it does not. Oh, yeah. What's up, mofo? We brought Kentucky to New York City, a.k.a. Connecticut. We're right outside of, you got the deal, whatever. As Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Yeah, tri-state area. It's all predicated in New York City. I mean, we don't exist if it weren't for the New York City, right? So Connor Rodgers is here, Chris Simms Unbuttoned, episode 486. We're going to hit a little Ask Me Anything today. It's the weekend after the Derby. Connor Rodgers was at the Derby. I saw you had a little New York flair in Kentucky.
A little bit.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, you didn't go dark that day on TV. You weren't like Johnny New York, like all black and doing all that.
I would have stood out like I would have looked like a mob boss.
Especially at the Derby when it's like all about colors and pastels, right?
Yes. Even on Derby Day, on Thursday. It's all pinks, greens, yellows.
That's all you see, right? Nobody wearing black and white.
I found the sweet balance.
Look, good. You did good. Look, you're business casual.
Yep.
You look
the
like
shades now on the other hand.
You look like you're Johnny Wall Street and you're about to go to a cookout after work.
Yep, Fide
in the Hamptons. That's what you look like.
You're right.
You probably got some like loafers on with no socks. And you look like you make like $20 million a year, like a Wall Streeter. Unfortunately, you don't.
I hope people thought that there. That's the goal right there. Dress for the job you want. Right?
You had a good time though.
It was a real good time.
Yeah, it's a good race.
I know there's some questions about this.
What is that?
That is Flat Stanley.
Stanley.
That is Flat Stanley. So me being the good uncle that I am, my nephew has a school project. Yeah, you probably know about this, Chris.
Right.
Where he has his Flat Stanley character, and he has to go to as many places as he can.
Yeah.
So the kids can learn about the places.
Right.
So I'll tell you a funny story. I brought Flat Stanley here to NBC one day.
Yeah.
Because we have the big NBC sign out front,
right.
and I wanted to take a picture of him in front of the rings and everything. And of course, the shuttle lets out right as I'm taking the picture. So and I'm pretty new here.
Yeah.
So there's like 40 people walking into work staring at me.
Who's the dumb kid taking a picture of his artwork?
Who is this freak right now taking this picture? And then Jay put me on blast of me doing it at the Derby.
Good.
So it is for my nephew.
Way to go, Jay.
Yeah. So
that's all right.
We
didn't really think you traveled around with a cutout.
It would be concerning.
Yeah, it would be
wildly concerning. So Flat Stanley got to go to Kentucky as well.
Stanley. Okay, that's a new one. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did go through that actually. I've been there. I remember my little boy had to bring some bear or whatever around. Right. It was the same thing. And we ended up bringing them to the Super Bowl 50.
Pretty good trip.
I was out. I think you were out there a little over. You Bleacher
Miami?
Report? No, that was San Francisco.
I didn't go to that one.
Before you were there, right?
Yep.
So, but yeah, I remember the day going, we had to take pictures at the Super Bowl. We had to make sure he documented all of it. And he was kind of like a little bigger than just a small teddy bear, where it was like, it's kind of annoying he's in the Super Bowl seat here with you right now. Like this stupid ass thing. Can we get out of here? All right. So,
well, he's paper, so it was worse.
You have to be really careful.
I thought his head was gonna fly off like 3 times. Me being an idiot, I didn't bring a folder. I just shoved him in my book bag against my laptop.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, man, if I bring this thing home ripped, I am in big trouble.
Well,
so
Flat
it survived.
Stanley's first experience with a man, which is called not being prepared and being gentle all the way.
100%. So that was Kentucky.
All right.
Was great.
That was cool. Kentucky. I got to go. I'm going next year, as I've always said. I mean,
got to do it.
My family's all there. My dad grew up right around the corner, and I think 150th anniversary, I'm going to try to hit up the Derby and enjoy that one. Glad you're back. All right. Connor's driving the ship today, as you guys could tell. Ahmed's out. He had a long weekend. He did an unbelievable job.
It's awesome.
Pregame for the Derby. Yesterday he was in Atlanta for baseball. So now we're going to hit it up. And Connor, I'll lay out for you and let you just take over the show from here on out.
Let's do it. And I did see Ahmed there. Talk about the man has range. The fact that he masters the Derby,
right,
and then
can talk to me,
and then does baseball,
right,
and technically could have been here, but it was like let's give you a breather.
He was gonna come here.
We
had to tell him
to
go, hey, dude, it's okay. You'll miss our May 7th or 8th AMA podcast.
Rookie
it's not a big deal. Exactly right.
Exactly.
News is not filling up as far as the NFL right now. It's definitely a little slow time.
So we are gonna have a lot of fun today because I know you guys hadn't done this in a while. This is an all mailbag show.
Yeah, cool.
So if people had questions lingering from the draft, if they have questions about players going into year 2, sometimes rookie mini camp stuff. Basically, anything is on the table today, Chris.
Right.
A hashtag Ask Me Anything. And I think a good topic to start with, Justin Fields' throwing motion.
Yeah, baby.
Is where we're going to open things up. A couple questions here right away. This one from Vago_K said, Chris, we need the quarterback whisperer to evaluate that motion, and we'll show that just in a second here. And the English Mail said, his arm still looks like an independent contractor.
Well, it's going to be the ongoing issue or thing that Justin Fields has to deal with in his, again, growth as an NFL starting quarterback, right? Again, there's a reason.
Here you go.
We had this talk early on in the offseason about they wanted to maybe trade away the first pick. That didn't come out of nowhere, right? He's got an incredible running ability. I hope you're watching this on the NBC Sports, NBC YouTube page right now, to kind of dissect his technique there. But, yeah, I don't like that. And our guy's right there as far as, the English Mail. He's a listener and knowing what I mean by independent contractor.
Yeah, I've heard you say this before.
Well, It's just the body has to be used with the arm, and sometimes he's just a little too army altogether. Now, this isn't bad. He gets his shoulder to the target pretty good. He gets a little turn into it. So those are good things from Justin Fields. Do I love his arm slot and the fact that elbow goes, we throw through the elbow? No, I don't love that. Watch how it goes elbow, right? And then hinges up there like that. There's not a lot of great throwers in the history of football who threw the ball like that. Now, we've seen improvement. But yes, is that perfect to me? No, but I do, again, like the base and the shoulder turn, which will help out the fact that I don't love the rest of the motion after that.
Does the elbow kind of popping like that, does it delay it a little bit? Does it make it slower? Well, what is it to you that you think translates to the game being a problem?
Yeah, well, one, I don't think it always it's the connection with the rest of the body. So now it's we turn the body and we do this, but again, if you were going to punch somebody or you were going to get an arm wrestling match, would you want to throw your elbow up? Is that the position of power? No, right. You want to have it a little lower to where now you can bring the whole body in with it and have force behind it. So that's where, I think there's that. There's the element of when you get like that, the arm can get too loose and floppy, and it's hard to replicate it one throw after another. That's why mechanics are important. You're not always going to have the best feel every day, right? You've been an athlete. Yeah. Some days you get a basketball and you just go, damn, it just feels good. And I'm just hitting everything, and you don't even know why, right? And then 2 days later, you come out there and you're going to shoot a basketball and you go, man, I was on fire the other day. I'm going to just take off right where I was the other day. And all of a sudden you go, damn, I can't get it to go in. I don't have my feel today. What is that? Well, that's when mechanics come in. That's when mechanics go, I don't have my A-game feel today. So, wait, let me keep my, if I'm talking basketball here, let me keep my shooting in. Let me, extend my arm more. Well, that's the same with throwing. There's going to be days where, you're not going to have it. And that's where base, shoulder turn, how you're lined up appropriately to the target and all of that, so where your weight is transferred on your back leg, then you can rely on those on days where you go, ooh, I'm a little off, right? I'm off. But, technicians, you'll never know. Brady's off day, he's going, I'm off, and we're going, damn, he's 9 for 11 right now. He's not off.
Same thing for pitchers.
Exactly. Exactly right. So that's got to be fixed, and that's what we're going to be watching for here. The next stage of development. We saw them run the ball. He does that at a very elite level, right? We love that because we thought that buys him time to grow in the passing department here. But, this is the year where it's got to grow, and it's got to be, the next step up in that department as far as the Bears want to be successful.
I think your overall point is a really good one, that you're not always going to mentally have it, whether it's confidence, mental, whatever it is, but mechanics can always bring you back down to the ground level.
Exactly.
I feel like that's why you loved C.J. Stroud in this year's draft, right?
It's replicated every time.
Exactly.
The same thing every time. Right. Exactly right. So I just go, ooh, if this guy has a bad day, you're not even going to know because he relies on doing all the other things right and lets the arm be the benefactor instead of the main factor, right? And, hey, Anthony Richardson, he's got a little of that floppy arm gets in the air, and that's where you see the ball go all over the
short
place.
Intermediate stuff.
Exactly right. Sure. So that's where it's got to be fixed. But, again, I liked everything we saw from that video other than that elbow thing, and I'm not sure that'll ever get totally fixed with him. It might not. And that's where he's going to have to continue on that shoulder turn and creating opposites and doing everything that way.
The next one is really interesting.
Yeah,
this is a topic you don't see brought up very often, but you as a quarterback would be very familiar with this. On Giants, second-round pick and new center John Michael Schmitz. This is from Corey Joskowitz. Corey said, thoughts on the dead snap versus spiral item.
Right.
MDS wrote on John Michael Schmitz and Daniel Jones. Should coaches push for the change now or let them get settled in the offense? Is that up to coaches or DJ? Just for some context, lay of the land here. John Michael Schmitz at Minnesota, longtime starter, logged over 2,000 snaps.
Yeah, our favorite center.
Yeah, 100%. He used the dead snap.
Right.
The dead snap for the people at home is
he just like basically grabs the ball and just shovels it back.
It's
to
like
where
a floater almost.
It's
sometimes.
a floater. See, look on the left. That's how a dead. He just is basically throwing you a knuckleball back, right? And it's just flipping whatever way possible. Now the guy on the right,
that's him at the Senior
That's him
Bowl.
there in the Senior. Yeah, right. I saw 74. And I was like, man, is that Tippmann? That's who I thought I started to think of as the Wisconsin kid at first. But so there's your more traditional one. One, yes, you're going to snap that in the shotgun here is what we're talking about mainly here. Now the ball is going to spin a little bit and spiral and be in a spot where it's easy for the quarterback to get the ball in his hands and adjust it real quick if I got to get the laces or hand it off. And what the other thing is with the dead ball where you don't like that, I mean, that's the number one thing is, you like the quarterback to have a little bit of a, consistent feel of the kind of ball you're going to get. A dead snap ball, one, there's going to be reorganizing in your hand more often. Two, a dead snap ball, it's not going to float through the air the same way. It's not. You're going to get knuckle balls, or it's going to be like, whoa, okay, I got it, right? So it's not going to be a smooth trajectory all the time. I think that's probably the biggest thing. And, you're trying to limit the amount as far as you want the quarterback, like, getting the snap should almost be like secondary. Right? It should become so machine-like.
You don't think about it,
you
right?
can basically, like, you can watch it kind of come into your hands, but you're also kind of looking at, like, wait, did the free safety come? Let me see the safeties. Did they rotate? What coverage am I getting? So it should be that seamless. Now, you're getting knuckleballs thrown back at you. All of a sudden, my eyes aren't on the free safety blitz or the strong safety and where he's rotating. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, and especially in this day of RPOs, right? Let me get the snap. Let me get the ball. I got to actually fake the ball in a handoff and try to throw it really quick or do something like that. It's a lot happening, and I don't think that snap is going to be as consistent as our traditional snap.
Do you think this is something they should have him work out of immediately? Because it sounds like in rookie minicamp it's not a focus. They're just like, hey, do your thing. Let's get settled here. But in training camp, and I guess a lot of this will depend on what Daniel Jones wants, right? Because I know it's not up to Brian Daboll necessarily. It should be on Jones, what he's comfortable with.
Definitely. But I don't think I think it'll be a no-brainer. I think everybody's going to be like, Daniel Jones will be like, I don't want the ball like that. I don't. And then what I would even throw into that, too, is like those dead ball days. I think a Giant Stadium on a windy day in November, that's just going to give it more surface area to hit the ball and move and do anything like that, too. But, I think that, they'll Daniel Jones is going to want it. Daboll's not going to want it for the reasons we talked about. And I think the other thing, too, is, get it going now. I'm just a believer in don't dip your toe in the water. Jump in. Let's just jump in and get going. Yep. So by the time training camp gets here, you're not even thinking about it, and it's second nature. And I don't think it's going to be a big adjustment for John Michael Schmitz when it's all said and done.
It's probably better to mess up in May around the rookies than be messing up in August around the vets.
Exactly right. Yeah. I would think they continue with that second grip we saw there from the Senior Bowl, that they continue to push that. And, we have a bad snap here and there. Okay, we deal with that now, and that's why we're in OTAs, like you said.
Our next one is from TB Kits, who said, could you explain the different lines of reasoning about raw players needing to sit versus play? Anthony Richardson versus Levis, for example. Why do people say AR should play while Levis should sit? And Simms, I don't know if you actually have that exact thoughts, but that is common
common thought. Right. Yeah. Well, Levis has played a good amount. Right, he played a lot of good amount of football here,
in a pro style offense,
right? To where Levis is more like, his is almost like, hey, we'd like him to refine a lot of things, and yes, he understands these concepts, but we want him to work on mechanics.
Richardson?
I'm talking about Levis first.
Levis first. Okay, yep.
Right, we know he's good. I'm just trying to give the background on why that perception is out there, and I can understand it. Right, where Levis, it does. Hey, I'm for play anybody. Again, I just want to make that clear. But I can understand why that is out there with Levis. He's been in the pro offense. Hey, there's some mechanical things we got to work on. We know he's had, lots of reps. But, yeah, this would be a good time for, okay, he understands, how to read a defense and the plays, but now we can refine on, hey, stay here in the pocket. And, hey, let's throw this ball, this curl route the same way 10 times in a row. Let's not have 2 or 3 different release points or whatever else. There's that where, again, Richardson needs that too. Don't get me wrong, but I think he needs it more in the sense of he's got to get out there and play and see the field and rotation of safeties and learn and just to learn a little more that way. I'm always in favor, who was that? TB Kitts right there? TB
Kitts,
yeah, TB Kitts. I'm always in favor of people playing. But I think with a guy like Richardson, why you're hearing that more is just that that's his number one detriment, is that he hasn't played enough. And to sit on the bench for another year and not get reps again, to me, I would worry about that aspect where I go, hey, Levis has played a lot. Okay, let's let him sit back and learn from Tannehill so he can be a little more consistent and read the field and get a little better feel in the pocket and stuff like that. And we think he can grow that way. The situations are different. Again, I'm all for playing, but I think that's probably where that comes from, Connor.
And maybe with Tennessee, Levis is walking into an offense that already exists for Tannehill. Like, we know what Tennessee is.
Yeah.
We're curious to see what Indianapolis is going to be under Steichen, and they just drafted a quarterback that they can build the offense.
Start that now.
Like, all around him.
Right.
Like, everything is tailored towards Anthony Richardson's game.
I would think that.
Like Philly did with Jalen Hurts,
that'd
where he
be
comes
more reason for I'd go, let's play Anthony Richardson. What are we going to, teach everybody Gardner Minshew offense here and go down a road like so far to go, hey, we're pretty good in the Gardner Minshew offense. Now, Anthony Richardson, you start, and we're going to start doing these plays, right? No, I'm with you. Grow that, all together there. Shane Steichen, Anthony Richardson, I think that's why that draft pick, made a lot of sense. But, again, I'm one to let him play no matter what. I really am. But I think Richardson, it is more imperative for him to get out there and get those reps than it is Levis right now.
Do you think also Richardson's unique running sets a different floor for him, where it's like you look at them, it's not a great division. The Colts have a good roster.
Yeah.
I mean, we know their problems over the last couple of years.
Defense is going to be good.
Defense is going to be good.
Yeah.
Do you think Richardson, who I remember you saying, like, he could run more, and this is a dude that I think had over 700 rushing yards, that sets a floor for him where you're like, however bad you think it can get, that'll kind of keep him treading water at a minimum.
That's where I agreed. Yeah. That's where it's different from him and Levis, too. Levis doesn't have that to rely on.
No.
Levis doesn't get I'm going to get the defense out of these crazy coverages because they have to worry about me running the football with the quarterback power run here. And now they're playing cover 3 instead of, cover 3 zone blitz, drop the will backer, blitz the strong safety and whatever else. There's going to be more, involved in his mental game than maybe a guy like Anthony Richardson. And yes, because of that, the game will be simpler for Richardson. He'll see simpler looks. And yeah, they'll be able to play that like we talked about before the draft, and the fact of letting him develop and get better because of the run game and the simple looks he'll get on the defensive side of the ball allow him to grow slowly but surely in the drop back pass game.
Staying with the Titans quarterbacks here, Nico Waco 19 asked, how do you guys think the quarterback situation will evolve in Tennessee? Good to see you guys back together.
Hey, I know we're happy about that together.
That's right. This one is tricky, right? Because Tannehill was hurt last year.
Right.
Tannehill could still play.
Yeah.
Yes, he's on the expiring deal.
Yeah.
I want to know what you think, Chris. For me, I don't think there'll be urgency for Tennessee to just throw Levis out there right away. There's just too much respect for Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, and like you said, Ryan Tannehill's good.
It's crazy how people forget this.
It just, again, he's not a superstar. I get that. But is he a guy that dances around the top 10 quarterbacks in football? Yes, he has been. He took them to the AFC Championship game. They were the number 1 seed. I know he threw 3 interceptions in the game. I know. He's done a lot of damn good.
You got to get there first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think, to your point, I'm with you. Vrabel's not the kind of guy that wants to deal with that. He does not want to deal with that. I think he was annoyed last year that they drafted Malik Willis because he had to deal with that.
He seemed it. He didn't really hide it.
Right. Exactly. I think there was a lot of things where he was annoyed with, the last few years in Tennessee and what the GM did there. So, I think is eventually how it will evolve that, yes, I do think Levis was drafted to be replacement for Ryan Tannehill. I get the sense that, Malik Willis is not in the, I don't want to say in the doghouse, but they're not hopeful that he maybe can turn into what they want. I think that if he showed enough hope for them to think, hey, wait, when Tannehill's done this year, he can be the guy and run the offense we want, they wouldn't have drafted Will Levis. They wouldn't even been thinking about it. They wouldn't have been in talks of maybe they trade up to pick number 3 to get the guy, right? So I think all those signs show you that there's no confidence in Malik Willis there right now, and he's going to have to earn that back, with the preseason and practice. And I think, Tannehill, I think in my heart of hearts, I do think this is the last year. But if they go to the playoffs and win a game or get deep into the playoffs, do I think they're just going to go, oh, okay, Tannehill, you're out of here? Could I see them signing him up for another year or a 2-year contract that they can get out of after a year, whatever? I certainly could see that. So I do think that Levis is the guy in waiting, but I don't think it's going to be a short leash like you're talking about with the Tannehill.
If you're Ryan Tannehill and you're playing on an expiring, you got to be thinking, I have one more decent year here. I get the Derek Carr deal, or maybe not the length of the Derek Carr deal, but I'm going to get paid a lot of money.
He's going to get paid to be a starter
exactly,
somewhere.
Which is serious money. But how many quarterbacks just walk to the free agent market?
I know.
So it'll be curious to see what version of him we get this year,
Yep,
assuming
I think
he can stay healthy.
Well, yeah, health is the biggest thing.
Of course.
It is.
So at minimum, they have a backup in Levis now, too, if Tannehill gets banged up again. All right, moving over to the 49ers here. Tony Rangini.
What up, Rangini?
Tony Rangini. Who is the steal of the draft? And tell me why it's D. Winters to San Francisco. Round 6 linebacker out of TCU.
Yeah, right. D. Winters, he's a San Francisco guy for 100%. Sure. As far as fitting that scheme. Run and chase, one gap guy. He's not going to be the guy you want to take on blocks and shed people off that way. No, it's more about, speed, see the hole, shoot your gun, fly through it, make a tackle, create chaos, right? That's the 49ers. So that's where he fits. He's a smaller linebacker. I wonder a little bit with like a guy like D. Winters too, all right? Yeah, he could play linebacker for them. And there's things about his game that, he's not a natural ball hawk, right? When I saw this question, I had to look back at some of my notes and the breakdown. I did not love his just natural ball hawking skills. Of course, his size was a little bit of a detriment. And then out of like the other smaller linebackers, I didn't think he was as good through the trash, right? When you're that small, you got to be able to avoid a blocker, weave through it, and make a tackle. And I thought that's an area where he's got some growth. And here's what I'll ask you, Connor. One of the things I wrote in my notes is like, I don't know if they make him a linebacker. I don't know if they make him Hufanga. They might make him like a in-the-box Cam Chancellor strong safety type. I think they could play with either one of those here through OTAs.
That's where I would lean too. Yeah. I mean, you look at how they line up. They obviously got Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner.
Yes.
I lean more of your thought of that in-the-box chess piece defender.
Right.
I mean, at the college level, he was probably playing around 220 to 225. Yep. I know he weighed in at 227. He ran really, really well. But he's kind of that guy maybe on that like overhang, or he's not playing in the middle of the field, in my opinion, for me.
Definitely not.
You like the sideline to sideline kind of stuff.
Exactly right. He's down by the line of scrimmage with, you're there for tackling, and he's got, coverage ability within the realm of tight ends and running backs. But that's a bit.
Go take away the flats, those running back dump passes.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Can you sit on the tight ends as well?
Honestly, but no free safety. That's not happening. I'm with you there.
Honestly, Chris, most of the time when you see a linebacker that size, that speed taking around 6, they want them to be special teams players.
Sure.
They can fly down the field on the kick coverage team, the punt coverage team. I mean, that's where they started to make their grounds.
No doubt about it.
So that's fine. Around 6.
And find a spot for him, and then maybe he ends up being Hufanga's backup. Who knows? Or maybe he does find a spot at one of those linebacker positions. But, hey, he fits the overall mantra of what the 49ers are on defense. Fast, just go, don't think about it, and create chaos, and we'll see if they can get the most out of him.
Staying with the Niners, Fergus OB4 asked, does Sam Darnold start instead of Trey Lance if Brock Purdy is unavailable at the start of the regular season?
Yes.
Almost feels like a layup.
Yeah, I feel like it's for sure. Well, one, I know, again, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Shanahan has great respect for Sam Darnold. Like, Shanahan has always had his eye on Sam Darnold.
They tried to trade for him.
I know.
Yeah.
Right. So he's always been on their radar.
Yeah.
And I think, again, I know myself, knowing Kyle, he's probably looks at it and goes, wait, this guy's been in some messed up situations. This guy's got some skill. I can make this work, I just got to teach him some things. He's got to get some success, a little confidence back. He's been in some fucked up situations.
It's true.
I mean, as tough as it gets for quarterbacks in the NFL, for a young quarterback especially. Yeah, but, again, Sam Darnold, out of that group we just talked about, those three guys, he's going to be the most consistent, best thrower of all of them. He is. He's going to have, as far as the impressive 20-yard out routes, he's going to win that battle. Now, can he slide in the pocket and, get his body in the right position and just be a natural play in the position and still hit the 20-yard out like Brock Purdy could? Or go, oh, wait, I slid in the pocket and now that corner closed the gap a little bit. I shouldn't throw it. Old Sam Darnold might throw and throw an interception.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So those are the things Shanahan has to get out of him. That's where he's not as good as Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has great feel for the game. He's a natural at the position. But yes, Fergus, OB4, I do think that Sam Darnold would be the starter. Again, I don't know that. But just from what I've seen from Trey Lance, what I think of Sam Darnold, I think he'd beat Trey Lance out in the training camp.
Darnold on a 1-year deal up to $4.5 million. So, I mean, that's bargain if they get anything out of him.
Bargain if they get
nothing.
anything. And, I mean, again, I don't think it's any, secret. We know the 49ers have flirted with trying to trade Trey Lance. I think that says a lot to you right there in that statement.
The last one on the Niners from 4Niners_701. Kyle Shanahan's a mastermind. But why is it that people only mention how he makes things easier for the quarterback, which is true, but they don't say the same for the wide receivers who are schemed wide open?
Yeah, I mean, again,
that's pretty fair.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, 100%.
Deebo Samuel catch and run.
Well, right.
Yeah.
He gets guys that he knows, like, I'm going to get him open. So when he gets open, can he snatch the ball out of the air and now run like his hair's on fire and make things happen?
Kittle.
And that's what he does, right? So, yes, he's a schemer. And again, that's why, sometimes you've heard me maybe not give credit to Brock Purdy and maybe some of the receivers at times because of that. I just think of the Seattle game, the Seahawks, the playoff game. I mean, Shanahan designed plays where it was play action and Brock Purdy was over the left tackle and he had a guy on the receiver on the left side, whether it was Ayuk or Deebo Samuel, running an in-cut across the field, and Brock Purdy was hitting it 5-6 times where there's nobody in the screen on 20-yard crossing routes, right? And it's not even a crossing route, it's an in-cut where they realize, wait, if we get things flowing this way, they don't cover as the guy comes out the back door, and they kept hitting that. And it's the next day, it's oh, Brock Purdy's amazing. Deebo Samuel's amazing. And I'm always the guy that's wait, these people were wide open. And then they're oh, you hate Brock Purdy. But that's where Shanahan's a master. Yes, he puts his guys in spots to succeed. And hopefully they can take advantage of that after that, and that's what he's always looking for at the receiver position.
Why do teams have so much trouble adjusting to that? Because everybody's he makes it simple for the quarterback. He makes it simple for the wide receiver. People are wide open. But you sit there and look at some of the brightest minds in football as defensive coordinators, and they get taken to school by him, it feels like, every year. It's not Kyle Shanahan's been in the league for 2 years.
No,
this has been a long track record.
He knows how to...
Is it exploiting the weakness,
Exploiting the weakness of a defense. He knows it as well as the defensive coordinators. He knows how to, one, through studies, get you in defenses where he goes, oh, I know what you're going to be in now. I lined up in this and I motioned here, and I know through all my studies that you adjust to this. When we motion the receiver back over here, you always go to cover 3. So now he's got a cover 3 play dialed up. He's amazing that. And then his sequencing of play calling. He sets it up. He gets guys on the team thinking like the play I was just explaining. Oh, they've run the ball to the left guard. They've run the ball to the left guard. They've run the ball to the left guard.
Overflowing.
So now we're all flowing that way. And they fake that and they drop, and all of a sudden now the guy's going out the other side, and they're like, oh, man, we were worried about McCaffrey over the left guard, coach. Yeah, well, Shanahan screwed you. He kept dangling it out there, for that. And I think that's really where he's a master. He knows where you're going to go to once he starts to beat you to death in certain areas, and then he plays off of that as well.
I've always heard the hardest part about being an offensive coordinator is the adjustment to play calling in the flow of the game. I was always told, anybody could script the first 12 to 15 plays, but how you call it, especially if you're not up in the booth, is so difficult.
Right. You get injuries, you get different you get the other team gets an injury, or they just come out with a different game plan, right? That's where, really good coordinators, the Sean Paytons, the Shanahans, the Andy Reids, they can adjust seamlessly, and like you don't even realize it. Where you go, I don't even realize it. I'll be watching the game again the next day. Go, oh man, this team did this, this, and this. I didn't realize this early in the game. Man, and the Chiefs or Shanahan, they did a great job of adjusting and changing things on the fly, and that's why those guys are special.
Our next one is from Caco Rosales, who said, now that the draft is over and nothing changed, do you see D-Hop staying in Arizona? Does it make sense for him?
Well, I don't know if it makes sense for him. No, it doesn't. He wants probably to leave. What
do you think it is right now? Is it the money?
I think it's money, and he's the overall looking of, the quarterback's not going to be healthy to start the year, and we're kind of in a rebuild mode, and I'm getting towards the end of my career, and I don't want to be a part of that, right? Which I understand. I totally get it. And then, of course, he's at a point, and he's at a status where he's looking at it and going, wait, there's guys at receiver that are making $8, $9, $10 million more a year than me right now. Are they really that much better? Right? So I think those are all things that are kind of playing into this DeAndre Hopkins situation. But ultimately, I mean, I don't know how you feel. I don't think he's going anywhere because I think the age, injuries, PEDs over the last 2 years, okay, and then we trade for him. We're paying him a lot of money. He has a good first 10 games, and now he wants a new contract, and we got to pay him $25 million a year. And we just traded to get him and all that. I just think there's too many moving parts there with DeAndre Hopkins. That's why I think he ends up staying this last year in Arizona.
There really is. One interesting thing I noticed on him is right now, like if Arizona traded him before June 1st,
it's a lot of money,
they'd be on the hook for over $21 million in dead money.
Right.
If they did it after June 1st, it's about 10.5.
Yep, right.
So the savings are significantly different. You're talking about $9 million in savings compared to 19.5.
Yeah.
So if they are going to do this, it really benefits them to wait a couple more weeks.
Definitely.
But I'm with you, Simms, that the problem with everybody loving the post-June 1st acquisitions or moves or waiting, a lot of teams made their moves.
They already
They're
set
up
for the
against
most part.
it.
Right.
They drafted their guys.
Yes.
They paid money in free agency. They're doing extensions. There's just not a lot of wiggle room out there when we get to June anymore.
No, it's one of these now where where it can maybe come back into play as you get into, okay, teams are doing OTAs last week, this week, here we go, we're getting going here. Where you get to June, teams now they've had maybe 6, 9 OTA practices, and maybe there's that team out there that goes, we're not good enough a receiver. Like we have a problem. We need somebody else, right?
I can see
and that's where he's got to hope that problem arises for somebody to, maybe they start to flirt with, hey, let's call Arizona again and see if we can't work something out for DeAndre Hopkins. But I think that's the only scenario. But in my heart of hearts, I bow to my original answer and what you're saying. I think he's going to be there because of the things we said.
It just feels like it probably would have gotten done or there would have been more chatter on it.
Right.
So, okay, this one from Mehmet_305. What team who didn't make the postseason last year has the best shot of making it this year with the draft and free agency acquisitions they made?
Well, Detroit's the first one that pops to my head, like easily, right?
They're the runaway favorite in that division now.
I think so. And again, I know people talk about the draft and all that, and I know I hit on it last week, but okay, yeah, they overdrafted a few guys. So what? Those are the guys they wanted that made their team better. Those needs that we talked about that needed to be filled are filled. So why do people go, oh, that's bad? Because you drafted the superstar running back 10 spots before I thought he should be. Okay. So they got what they wanted there. So that's the easy one I think I look at. There's some interesting ones this year. I mean, how could you not look at the Jets in that conversation?
Yeah.
I mean, the Jets
they have Aaron Rodgers now.
Right.
It's a little different.
And they're loaded as is.
Yep.
I mean, they're loaded. So those are two right away. But let me throw a few others. Watch out for Atlanta.
That's the one that intrigues me.
Yeah, Atlanta and New Orleans. I'd sit there and go, there's just more talent on those two teams than people realize, and there's more size up front. They're not going. Those two teams, I sit there and just go, there's not going to be too many teams that are going to be able to overpower them. Or if there's going to be any team, they're going to be able to hand. There's a reason team like the Falcons beat the 49ers last year, right? Nobody is just going to overpower them up front. So those are two other ones that certainly jump out to me.
You look at the Falcons. Number one, the division's not very good.
Exactly.
Right now.
It's there to be had.
You expect the Bucs to take a step back. You bring up the Saints, that'll be really heated competition. And the Panthers are in a transition phase,
Yes,
as much as they could surprise people depending where Bryce is at.
Derek Carr is the only one that's a guy where you go, wait, this is a guy that I've seen do this and can do it.
Yes.
So he's the quarterback of the Saints. Everybody else, I love Atlanta, but yeah, we got Desmond Ridder. I got to see a little bit more.
Yep.
You know, but they certainly have a lot of the pieces to make that type of run. And the other team I'm going to throw out there too is, Green Bay. Green Bay's roster is still damn good. It is on both sides of the ball. You know, I wouldn't be shocked if I don't think they're going to fall off a whole lot. I wouldn't be shocked if they're right back in the thick of things there, at least in the NFC playoff picture.
Yeah, it'll depend on where Jordan Love is at, which is just this ultimate wild card. We've seen the flashes, but we just don't know. Okay, the contender Achilles heels question. There really is.
Yeah.
This is @_JJ John. He said, "What are the biggest position group gaps on genuine contenders? For him, it's the Bills' cornerback and wide receiver group or Dallas's running backs."
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm with you in that Bills conversation. All right. I would like more talent on both sides there, as far as corner and wide receiver. I mean, nobody has banged the drum more than me on the Bills and difference makers at that. Now, here's the one thing I'll say with the Bills. You know, first round pick from Florida last year. He'll be better.
Kyer Elam.
Yeah, Elam, right. Then the Bedford, the kid from Villanova.
Who got hurt pretty well last year. Christian Benford.
Right. Benford started over Elam. So he'll be back in the fold. Tre'Davious White's going to be better and healthier, right? He was not himself last year.
He didn't look right.
No, he was missing a gear. So, those are the things that are positive there. Now, other teams, and again, I'm just seeing this question live and in color right now as we go here. Chargers interior D-line. You talk about a team contender. That's a spot where, I know they made some adjustments there this year and signed some people and trying to get bigger in that area. But that's one area where I go, hey, that's a contender, a team that, hey, they got Kendricks in the middle to help them out, and they got, Morgan Fox, right?
Yep.
Those are the two guys there. And I feel like I'm missing somebody else that they got, too, as well.
They drafted a couple later round guys for the interior, and Scott Matlock from Boise State and Gerard Clark from Coastal Carolina. But, once again, you're not expecting instant contributions from those guys.
No. So that was another one. Let me just see here, too, if there's anybody else that jumps out to me as far as contenders.
What about the 49ers corners?
Ooh, it's definitely a spot of weakness for their football team. It's a weakness. I don't know if they want to be better at it. Knowing Shanahan and these conversations I've had with him through the years, I think he values I'm going to have a great pass rush and I can't have great corners to go along with it too. I can't pay everybody. So that's the area he looks at to kind of go, okay, I'm going to cheat in this area and not spend a lot of money. I think that's one for sure. Dallas running back thing is certainly real there. If Tony Pollard's not healthy altogether, right? Who else? Are we missing anybody else here that jumps out to you guys that I'm missing here?
A lot of combo around two of these position groups going into the draft. The Bengals at tight end and the Jets offensive line.
Yeah, okay. And the
thing is with the Bengals, is it a luxury to them?
It is a little bit. I agree. They got Irv Smith, where I think they think there's some potential there, right? And then, there's a lot of talk there, but I'm always is he are we supposed to just have an all-star team?
Yeah. What do you
he's got the best
them?
best three receivers in football right there. They got a pretty damn good running back crew there as well now. So yeah, that's one area they've cheated on. I'm trying to, Seattle's O-line, that's hopefully going to be improved here this year. That's one that jumps out to me. The Giants, as far as a contending team and their corner play, right? That's something that has been in question. I think they addressed that pretty well in free agency and of course in the draft in the first round.
And wide receiver for the Giants
too.
Wide receiver, you add
for
Waller
sure.
into the mix, Jalen Hyatt. It's a different looking group. At least.
That's a good. It's a good question. I hope I hit on some of them. There's probably one where I need to think about it a little bit more, and I probably could have came up with other ones. But very good question.
Let's try to find one for the
John.
Chiefs before we close out.
Yeah,
because they are obviously the reigning champs. They lost Juju, but it sounds like they have high expectations for Kadarius Toney and Rashee Rice.
Yeah. I mean,
they find a way. I mean,
they still have MVS. They got plenty of receivers. I know. I'm not worried about that.
Big changes at tackle.
Yep.
I mean, they're going to have they bring in Donovan Smith.
Yep.
They
Juwan
obviously
Taylor.
signed Jawan Taylor.
Right.
So they did move on from Frank Clark. And
right.
He's still out there. Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't rule it out entirely. The thing is with the Chiefs, like, you could nitpick their roster every year, and then we go, it didn't really matter that
I don't
much.
look at anything to go glaring weakness.
Exactly.
You know, the O-line thing is, I mean, that's Andy Reid's cup of tea right there. Yeah, they lost Wiley, but they got Jawan Taylor. They still got a lot of other good offensive linemen there. You know, so I think they look at it with Lucas Niang, who I think there's still a lot of positive vibes for there. So they got options. I don't, you know, D-line is maybe the one thing. Yeah, you can look at that. But again, with their drafts, they got Karlaftis last year. He's going to be better. They signed Omenyehu. I don't know if I look at it. Those young corners they got, they're only going to get better. So I don't really look at too many things, you know, that are an issue with the Chiefs altogether.
And Chris Jones is still a dominant force in the middle that can make up for so much of that.
Definitely.
Our next question is from Duel_75. How did the grades for this year's top 10 compare to the last 5 years? The first round seemed boring and had few exciting players compared to recent years.
Well, okay. And boring? Boring? That was the most fun draft ever.
It was a lot of fun.
What were you doing? You didn't watch me and Ahmed in the barn? You didn't watch me a little tipsy with a little smoky? I mean, what are you doing? That wasn't boring.
He clearly watched the generic
they must have.
network coverage.
Those boring ESPN NFL network guys. How dare they? I mean, again, I think that he's probably talking about the top-end talent, right? And just that. There's sure. You know, I don't think Jalen Carter got hyped as much because people were scared to because of the off-the-field stuff.
Yeah.
So I think I think some of the networks were scared to go all in and show everybody how awesome he was and like go over the top with praise. Because I mean, again, I think you're in agreement. He's the best D tackle I've ever evaluated ever since I came in this. So
100%.
That's hard to say. You know, Devin Witherspoon. I mean, you know, again, I like Devin Witherspoon more than I like Sauce Gardner or the kid out of Louisiana who got drafted by the Texans last year. Stingley.
Yeah.
So there were some big time guys there. You know,
I had Witherspoon ranked higher than both. I mean, I don't think people realize how special
as Witherspoon is.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he's special in every area. I think Tyreek Wilson's special, right? Damn, Bijan Robinson's special. So I'm challenging your overall thought of the boring there. But I think overall, listen, I don't know if it's like, I think the top end guys had high grades just like all years. To me, it was the next group of guys that was different.
I agree.
Right? That's where it is, and that's where the draft was interesting. I think everybody looked at, there's like a premium of like 15 or 20 guys that everyone looked at like, these are, you know, top-end players, first-round picks. These guys, at the end of the first, in a lot of years, I think we're probably second-round picks and things like that. But it was a year that wasn't deep, and it was a little bit more about, I have this specific need, and let me get it. And I think that's where the drop-off was, in my opinion, Connor.
I think so, too. I mean, you look at it, it feels like after 12, which was Jahmyr Gibbs, who we both loved.
Yeah.
It got kind of, you know, flat in the sense that these guys could be good players, but nobody's hyping them up as stars. Lucas Van Ness, Broderick Jones, Will McDonald, like good players.
Right.
But it was a different tier from Carter, from Skoronski, from Gibbs and Bijan. You know,
and I think some of those guys didn't have big school names behind them, too, so they don't have the hype there, right?
That's a good point.
Even like a Tyree Wilson, people are like, defense end from Texas Tech, and I want to go, no, Myles Garrett, okay? That's who you got coming out here. But it's not like an Alabama or a Georgia, so the hype's not around. Not everybody knows how awesome he is. And then again, he's, you know, our guy here more than likely is watching Will Anderson highlights going, this doesn't look as good as most years. And I know I'm having fun. I think he was overdrafted. But I will push back against that part. I think the top of the draft there was pretty damn talented. It's just that, yes, as we went farther down, it became a little less impressive.
I still had 23 first-round grades in this class. I always tell people, like, media grades are different than what the league is doing.
Yeah,
the league is... They hate every single player. It's not what we're in the business of doing. I still thought it was a solid draft. I saw 23 players where I'm like, these guys can make a difference for a team.
Sure.
And I think that, you know, some of the boring draft narrative might have just been, like you said, Chris, about the coverage of you had certain coverage stay away from the Jalen Carters of the world, who in any other draft we would talk about like this is the biggest difference maker we've seen in years.
Yes.
And things along the line.
Yeah,
of that.
and some of the stars had injury issues, so then they
true.
didn't get allowed to get pubbed because the TV people knew, wait, they're going to fall a little bit because people are worried about their injury concern, so they didn't get to blow these people up in the 2 weeks prior to the draft to say, hey, this is number 3 pick, the number 4 pick, blah, 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 because Nolan Smith, everybody loved him, but he didn't get the hype he deserved because everyone was, there's an injury concern, he might fall, so I don't want to sound like I love him too much, and then he falls to 30 and I look wrong, when no, he was a top 10 pick, top 15 pick for sure. There were just some concerns there, so there was a lot that went into this draft, I think is what we're saying here.
Tripod2X has a question on the Raiders. Would you say the Raiders are better or worse with swapping Derek Carr for Jimmy Garoppolo and Darren Waller for Michael Mayer, considering what McDaniels wants to do?
Yeah. I think long-term as far as the tight end position, I think, yes. The Darren Waller, knowing that group out there between age, and like I said at the time, between age and injury, they'd rather get rid of you a year earlier than be stuck with you next year and go, damn, we can't get anything for him because he hurt his knee again and now nobody wants him, right? So that's what they played that angle. I think they're going to be happier with Jimmy Garoppolo. One, I think there's a prior relationship. There's something they liked about Jimmy Garoppolo and drafting him anyways, and I think he's got a little bit more of a mentality of what they want at the quarterback position. Stand in there, pull the trigger into a tight window, let it loose there, where Carr might have been a little careful for them in that department, and I think that's probably, let alone Carr just had a bad year. He didn't have his best year, We saw Carr miss a lot of plays and throws towards the end of the season where he went, man, he's made those plays in other years. But whether it's the Steelers game, the Rams game at the end of the year, there were so many plays where you're like, man, Derek Carr missed that throw, made that interception. How? Why? Right? So I do think it's going to be a positive for them. And I think Mayer, with his blocking ability, really probably couples better with their offense altogether than Waller does in that department.
I would agree. Yeah. And the fact that you have Josh Jacobs coming back, you can lean on the run game for this team. I mean, we know the kind of threat Devontae Adams is. It just feels like that. It was a really tough start for McDaniels there last year.
Yeah.
But as much as depends on Jimmy staying healthy, which is always that big if.
Yeah.
As crazy it is to say, it does feel like the offense will function better with Jimmy. Which is, a lot of people think that's bold, but I really don't.
I don't either.
I'm not saying Jimmy's better than Carr. I just think the offense functions better with Jimmy.
Jimmy's got a base in this offense already. He's played in it. For Carr, it was a total 180 from anything he had ever been to, right? If anybody listened to my podcast early on in the preseason and stuff, I was joking about that. I had a joke with Derek Carr in the Hall of Fame game. I was like, what about this offense? I did something similar than what he did. I went John Gruden to Josh McDaniels, just like he did. And I was like, what the is this play? Huh? I don't even know what you're saying right now. So
let me, not to interrupt you, but as somebody listening at home, this is something I would want to know. Is it the verbiage? Is it what you're trying to do? Is it just getting the plays to the guys? Like, what is the transition where you're like, this is just totally different in a big haul, especially you don't have a lot of time.
It's the verbiage. It's the rules. It's the little coaching points that, to me, McDaniels he thrives in. And it's just all of that. So it's a lot to digest. And there's got to be a little bit of a period of like, hey, let's be patient. It's the New England way. Let's let this kind of work itself out here. And again, even though they went 6-11 in a bad start last year, you got to go back and go, they blew a 17-point lead to the Jaguars. They should have beat the Rams. They should have beat the Steelers. There's a number of games you can go through and go, they should have won that game. And knowing that group out there, right? Again, this is where my dad's from, this school of coaching and all that. They're going to blame the quarterback when you don't win those games. Knowing that group, definitely. This is the group that we lost the Super Bowl because Tom Brady didn't play good enough. They don't give a shit who you are, right? That's how they talk, right? We didn't go to the NFC Championship game in '89 with the Giants because Phil didn't play well in the divisional playoff game. He sucked in the divisional play. That's how they talk. So I guarantee that. And then as I tried to break it down too, I just know being in New England and how they think too of like Waller's injury history, right? Jacoby Myers becomes available, I think, for maybe a price tag that was a little lower than they were expecting, right? And I think they looked at that and went, wait, there's a good tight end class. So wait, we can get a guy for 4 years, another receiver for 3 years, and there's a tight end that's super talented, but there's a lot of iffy things here, and it's just a coin flip of whether it works out. That group right there went, we'll go the Jacoby Myers safer bet. And that's the way they think in New England or Las Vegas now.
It's a tough division, but I like the way the Raiders are looking.
I
mean,
do
I'm not
too.
going to set absurd expectations when you got to deal with the Chiefs, obviously the Chargers, a little bit of a renewed Broncos.
Yeah, they're
but
going to have a new energy.
In a vacuum, I like what the Raiders have done.
Agreed.
Especially the draft.
Agreed.
Love the draft.
I'm with you there.
We got a couple questions hinting at 2024 NFL draft already.
Uh-oh.
We'll keep this one a little surface level, but Stephen Infamous asked, are there any prospects from next year's draft class that stood out as you were studying the prospects from this year's draft class?
Oh, well, I mean, again, I'm very high on the 2 quarterbacks from USC and the Washington kid.
Yeah, they look. Oh, Penix is a stud.
To me, those are the 2 best. I've seen the kid in North Carolina. I know he can play the position. He's a good player. His physical ability does not jump out to me like those 2. I mean, Caleb Williams is as close as you're going to see to being like a slick Patrick Mahomes college football player. And Pinnock is like, am I saying it right?
Penix.
Yep. Penix is, I mean, watching Gonzalez up in Oregon, watching some other Pac-10 guys and seeing him throw the football. Yeah, those are 2 guys to me that I think they would have been the top 2 quarterbacks maybe in this year's draft if they came out. That's just my thought, but I'm definitely in love with their talent.
I was mind blown watching Penix and couldn't believe that. I mean, he didn't declare this year because I think he didn't get the feedback he was hoping for, which I think the NFL screwed that up, personally. I think they missed on him. I think they looked at all the injuries from Indiana, made him a complete afterthought. He transfers to Washington.
Yeah, so you think he got a bad
feedback. I think that he had to go back.
I was shocked.
Because if you put him in this draft, I thought he was a first-rounder. I really did. And he didn't get that, as far as I heard, he didn't get that feedback.
Oof.
And that's insane to me.
Yeah, he transferred from Indiana, right? He's had a lot there, so he had the injury. So, maybe that was part of it.
But on talent, I'm with you, Chris. I'm excited for him.
Ball explodes out of his hands. Perfect spirals. Has great control of it. And he's a big, strong guy, too, it looks like, too. So, I think those, mainly. I'm trying to think if there was anybody else that jumped out, like DBs, receivers that I kind of peeped, but I can't say anybody does off the top of my head.
One will be from watching the Illinois defense. We watched the back end. You had Witherspoon, Jertavius Martin, and Sidney Brown all in the secondary.
Yeah.
They have a defensive tackle up front. His last name is Newton.
Right.
I don't want to butcher his first name. I think it's Jurjan, but last name's Newton. He'll be a stud defensive lineman. It's crazy the defense they have.
Yeah, it really is.
Just insane. So there's exciting talent already for next year. Of course, this kind of leads me to the next question from Wes Kruger. He said, should teams tank for Caleb? And we have in the note here, Caleb Williams is minus 550 as the favorite to go first overall next year.
Well, he's certainly going to be the guy I think, a lot of teams that are in the quarterback market are going to have their eye on.
It's tough to tank, though.
It's tough. It's the NFL. It's tough to tank.
Nobody's really pulled it off the way they thought they could.
No, it's hard. And again, just think
guys
about
wanna win.
Just think about the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the game, Davis Mills, and they want to score and win the game. Even though they're playing backups and they don't, maybe putting their best foot forward, you can't tell the guys on the field that. They're still professionals. The coach is still going, oh, well, what do I give a shit about? They're probably going to fire me and somebody else is going to get the pick anyway.
Middle finger of the century from Lovie Smith.
Right. So
All-timer.
They just kept playing. So it's extremely, extremely hard. But, within the spirit of that question, he is definitely going to be on teams' minds there as far as when he come down to the stretch of the season and who's ever, towards the bottom of the list of the draft order there, they're going to be thinking about Caleb Williams.
It feels like he's poised to be that Trevor Lawrence where we're sitting here all summer, we expect him to go number one, and it's going to be hard for him to not go number one overall. Even with the Drake Mays, Marvin Harrison Jr., who, I mean, we could have like a Jamar Chase-level wide receiver prospect in him.
Definitely. That would be another guy that certainly jumps out.
Ridiculous.
I mean, yes, he's a man amongst boys.
Because you watched a lot of Stroud, obviously, and most of the time the guy catching the ball was Marvin Harrison.
Between him or just anybody, the guys on Michigan at defense, or whatever, you saw Marvin Harrison Jr. A lot. But and what's cool, the Pac-10 with those 2 quarterbacks there. I don't know. Can USC and Washington play in the Pac-10 title game? That could be kind of cool.
That would be cool. And you still have Bo Nix at Oregon.
Right.
Where it's
and I like Bo Nix.
It's kind of like a very relative quarterback conference for the draft.
Bo Nix is another guy that I would say, through the process I looked at and went, man, athlete, size, and has a powerful arm.
Yeah, a little bit of a playmaker.
He is. It's a little different than your. He definitely.
I didn't like
good.
him at Auburn. I thought when I watched him at Oregon, I was like, I'll throw my hands up and be like, he's gotten a lot better.
He definitely did.
Gotten a lot better. This one on the Seahawks secondary from Sean Bodhane. He said, on paper, how does the Seahawks secondary compare to some of the best DB rooms in the last 10 years? The only thing that can hold back this group is health. That's a big if. Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, Julian Love, Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, Mike Jackson Sr., and Kobe Bryant. That is stacked.
It's stacked. It is. I mean, let's think. I mean, top secondaries over the last 10 and 15 years. I mean, you're talking about some Patriots secondaries that were special there with Gilmore and even Aqib Talib. Gosh, you go back to the Broncos secondaries, right? Super Bowl champs.
Not the
right?
no-fly zone,
Aqib
I think.
Talib, Chris Harris Jr., right? TJ Ward. Man, again, the Legion of Boom, of course, is in that conversation.
Of course.
So am I going to throw this team into that category yet? No, not yet. I'm not. But there's a lot to like. There's potential to be that, and that attitude's there to be that kind of secondary where it's like, hey, you come over the middle, we're gonna knock you out, or you're not even gonna catch the ball anyways because we're gonna be all over you like glue. They got all of that to go. So I'm excited for the Seahawks defense. I really am, and I don't. You got Woolen who can be an island, cover the T. Higgins of the world. You got a guy in Witherspoon who can be on an island against anything, not other than big receivers. You can match him up with anybody, I feel like. Even to say that, he's still going to be, feisty in that. They got a lot of versatility, let alone like guys who are kamikaze that I like. So I'm not going to put it in a top tier of anything over the last 10 or 15 years, but I think pure physical ability, Adams, Diggs with a rocket up his ass, and the rest of those corners, and Woolen and Witherspoon, and damn, Mike Jackson's a player.
Yep.
And so is Jordan Love. I mean, Julian.
That was a sneaky signing.
Free safety, nickel, can do a little bit of everything there. I mean, it definitely has a chance to be one of the top secondaries in football.
I had to look up the no-fly zone because I knew you forgot a couple names. Aqib Talib, you were on it. Chris Harris Jr., you were on that. Yeah. TJ Ward, Darian Stewart, Bradley Roby.
Oh, Bradley Roby was on that too, right?
Yeah, I think he was their nickel, which is just absurd.
Right. That is absurd.
That's your swimming in talent.
That defense was special. That really was. I don't know. Are we missing any other top-tier secondaries?
Think.
Of course, the Rams one was pretty damn good.
It was pretty good.
Right? But that's probably, I think, the end of the special ones right there.
I would think so too. Corner duo comes to mind. Revis and Cromartie were good together, but they never had the safeties behind them necessarily.
You're
right.
They
won two corners. It didn't get better than that for a while.
No, you're right. That was a really special group there.
This one from Trinsanity51. I know you're not in love with passer rating, QBR, and most quarterback grading systems. What are some quarterback stats that you use in your analysis? I ask this realizing that the tape trumps all.
Well, I mean, again, I try to take all of that into account. There is some value with all of that. My big thing is when I watch tape or anything, is he going to the right place with the ball, right? If there's a guy open, does he have control of the football to put the ball where he wants, right? Now then it goes into like, okay, wait, can we go above and beyond? Hey, there's nothing there. Or, ooh, man, everybody's pretty covered, like pretty well. You're going to have to make a really high level throw here to get it in, right? I'm going to give more value into some stuff like that. It's where I love CJ Stroud, right? Oh, nobody's open. Ooh, he could buy some time, set up. Oh, now somebody is open, right? That's where I'm big into it. And then my biggest thing, too, and this is where QBRs and everything, and Pete, this is one of Pete's favorite things about me, but this is where is what's there to be had. See, too many of the grading systems go, ooh, positive grade. He got a 5-yard completion right there. And I watch the game back and go, there's a guy open down the middle for a 30-yard touchdown. But we're going to give him a positive grade for hitting the 5-yard underneath completion. Oh, great. We're in 3rd and 5, even though we just had 7 points down the middle. I don't give that a positive grade.
I'm with you.
Or, the opposite end of that spectrum or whatever there. So that's where, the analytics can be a little different. Oh, he didn't throw an interception all game. Okay, great. But he didn't take one chance or make a play for his team. He did nothing. Oh, this guy threw an interception in the game? Okay, yeah. So he threw an interception, but he made 12 other throws that changed or dictated the pace of the game, and that's why that team won. So that's where I try to go above and beyond the statistical outlook all the time.
I like that, Simms. I think a lot of, and you kind of pointed this out, a lot of quarterback metrics favor guys that play safe.
Too conservative. And that's where I've been. I know you don't. I'm not trying to. You don't listen to me all the time, but I know you listen every now and then.
Absolutely.
And I've been trying to say to people like the day and age of 10 years ago where Drew Brees throw for 72%, have a quarterback rating of 120, and I only threw 5 interceptions the year. Like, to me, that style of football is kind of gone. It's like
look at the draft. The draft is telling you that.
Exactly. Look at the teams. Look at the teams again who have been successful the last few years. One like 2 years ago that I've told people. Who led the league in interceptions? Matthew Stafford 2 years ago won the Super Bowl. Right. That year, right alone, he led the league in interceptions. Josh Allen, where he was up there in interceptions. Joe Burrow was up there in the top 6 in interceptions. Mahomes was number 9 with interceptions, right? Brady was up there with interceptions that year. So, that's where, again, I think the game is going in a little different than maybe the past. And yes, that's where they mess up.
It's hard to quantify.
It's hard to quantify some of that. And, let me just look at last year. Let's just because that was 2 years ago, right? So
I know Allen was up there.
Allen was up there. Kirk Cousins is up there, right? Dak Prescott is up there. So Prescott, Kirk Cousins, and Josh Allen are all in the top 3, all in the playoffs, all with big-time thriving offense. Mahomes is 7, right? Burrow was 7. So Geno Smith, the amazing year, was 10th with interceptions. I think that speaks to it again. You want to be an explosive, scary offense. You're going to be aggressive, and you're going to take some chances. And within that, you're going to turn the ball over a little bit. But I think they're numbers you can live with when you're making the big plays along with it.
We got a Marte Mapu question. Obviously, Patriots draft pick this year. This is from Brian Shaw. Marte Mapu, please educate people why he's such a nice fit for the Patriots. Y'all's thoughts on his selection at 76. For those that don't know, Mapu is the linebacker, kind of safety hybrid out of Sac
everything.
State.
That's
he really was. Plays fast. That's all I can say about Marte Mapu.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's their love. Right? They love Swiss Army knives. That's what they want. And he's a guy that's strong safety, end of the line, third down outside linebacker. Whoops, I'm dropping my coffee mug. I mean, he can kind of do all of that. Let alone probably going to have, special teams value early on in his career and all those type of things. I think that's really what it is for them. They're always looking for specialized people or versatility along their front 7. So he can run, hey, one third down, we got 2 D linemen on and 4 linebackers and 5 DBs. And next time we got 1 D lineman and it's 5 linebackers and 5 DBs. And you don't know who's blitzing, who's coming, who's dropping, who's covering. That's kind of the beauty between the Marte and Mapu kind of pick. It's a smaller version of Kyle Van Noy.
I was going to ask something
and
like that.
I was in New England when they drafted Kyle Van Noy. And when they drafted him, I just said, this guy he can play. He knows how to play football. And they'll find a spot and how that works for him. Yeah,
Mapu is a guy that despite his size, he'll take on contact.
Definitely.
No fear. No fear.
That's where Kyle Duggar, Jabril Peppers type of role that they got up there. I could see him being in that kind of, mold there. We were playing a team that's got 2 good tight ends this week. Okay, we need Duggar and Mapu out there together, a little bit. One can blitz, one can stop the run. They both can cover, do whatever. I think that's probably what they're looking at with that player.
Mapu, I believe, was the highest selection that didn't get a combine invite.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It really is.
And through the first 4 rounds of the draft, we had 2 or 3 guys drafted, I think, that didn't have combine.
Yeah, I know Chandler Zavala was in there. There was quite a few.
Right.
Mapu for those that don't know, Mapu had a crazy process. Sac State was really good this year.
Yep.
He goes to the NFLPA Bowl, is the best player on the field those practices, gets the call up to the Senior Bowl.
That's when I first heard about him. Everybody
Same. He gets called up to the Senior Bowl. I thought he was the best player on those practices.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, why isn't this guy at the Combine?
Right.
And good for the Patriots for seeing the talent, not caring about the lack of
They
Combine,
don't care.
taking him top 8. I think they actually like that.
They do.
Right? It's like, oh, we're a little
found
smarter than
somebody
you.
under a rock
Yeah.
in California, and we're going to draft him. Your process, NFL, and how did you not draft him in the Combine? Right. They do love that. I'm with you there.
It did feel that way. Another Patriots question. Keith Hart asked, hey, Chris, love the show. As a Pats fan, I just want to know, where are you with Mac? Still a believer? Was it all on him last year, or were coaching / other circumstances to blame?
I am still a believer in Mac. I really am. I thought Mac really, towards the end of the year, did a lot of good things. I thought physically he actually looked better than the year before. The arm looked better. The arm had more pop on it. early in the year where I'll say it was a negative is, it was some stupid turnovers. He cost them the Ravens game, right? There was some plays there where, again, I'm all for being aggressive. He had a few plays early in the year where it was like, wait, you're off your back foot and you're just going to throw a jump ball to 3 guys in the end zone and you don't think the Ravens might catch it, right? There was just some things there where you went, how? But I think that also led into what? Why does he do that? Why was he forcing some of those plays? Because the offense wasn't good. So he was probably going, wait, I got to try to create something. I got to make a play here, right? So I put more of it on the offense for sure. I think you're going to see a big bounce back year from Mac Jones. I am a believer. Again, the beauty of Mac Jones is, he's not a guy. This is not Aaron Rodgers or Mahomes or Josh Allen where you just go, hey, you can play in any offense, make it happen. There's a reason the McDaniels and the Sean Paytons and the Kyle Shanahans of the world like a Mac Jones, because they know, wait, I can throw a whole playbook on him and he can process it and then go out and play and be free and do all the right things that way. And those advantages were taken away from him last year. Oh, we're going to run like the most normal play that every team put in on the 3rd day of training camp, and we're going to run that play 9 times in week 4 and not think the defense might not be on it, right? You're laughing, right? But that's what it went.
It's sad, but it's
so you're
true.
taking you're losing the advantage of drafting Mac Jones and what he can do for you. It's like putting Tom Brady in a simple offense, and you're like, yeah, he can make the throws, but you're not taking advantage of all that Tom Brady can do for you. He could check to this and get to that and do this and do to that and see this guy as he's dropping back and adjust the play on the move, and those were all cut off from the things that Mac Jones can do.
What are some things you think Bill O'Brien can do for him that'll kind of get him closer to the flashes we saw as a rookie?
I think more answers, more easy completions, just things like that.
Rhythm
right?
of the game, you think? Okay.
Right. That's like, hey, you're an athlete, anything, just see the ball go through the hoop a few times.
It makes a world's difference when
Knock
you're comfortable.
a putt in from 5 feet. Oh, gosh, I'm hitting from anywhere today, right? So that's get them easy completions that way. And then the biggest thing is quarterbacks want answers. There's nothing worse than you're in a meeting and you go, wait, coach, what if they do this? And they go, well, we haven't seen them do that, so they're not going to do that. And then you get in the game, and of course they do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times that happened to me in my career. It's the nightmare for quarterbacks. I had a game against Arizona in 2004. We prepared for something. We thought we had them on lock. We had them. We got them. We got in the game, and they changed it all around. And I was a young player. I was making my second start ever. And everything Gruden had kind of wired us for that week it wasn't right, right? They changed it. They knew they must have self-scouted. And we didn't have answers. And it was a horrible, wait, you taught me to do this and follow these rules, and none of these rules are existing with how they're lining up. Right. So what do? That's the worst thing for a quarterback.
And it's pretty tough to just go to halftime and completely flip the script on that, right?
Definitely.
That's when people always say halftime adjustments, how overrated is that thought, considering the time you have?
There's only a few that can really pull it off the right way, right? Or make the right adjustments the right way. Either way, it's a little bit of an overrated talking point.
Realist Truth 85 asked, with the Jets getting Rodgers, is this the end for Zach Wilson in New York? They kept him, but his situation appears very similar to Jordan Love all of a sudden. Do you think Zach can really put it all together? Love the pod always since BR and Lefko days.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that, Realist Truth 85. Yeah, I think this was part of the love of Aaron Rodgers and why they went all in on it. I think they're still looking to salvage the Zach Wilson thing.
I think so too.
I think they looked at this and go, wait, we can get Rodgers, which is great for us now, and it's actually the best for us maybe long-term to continue to develop Zach Wilson. I think that's why they went so far down the road and, didn't go all in on Derek Carr or maybe Jimmy Garoppolo because of this angle. Again, I know I've taken a lot of flack. I made him my number 1 quarterback over Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, as it looks right now, I'm wrong. I get it. I hear you. But what I don't like is everybody cherry picking on me. I'm going to go, wait, all of you other people had him as the number 2 quarterback.
Right.
Don't act like you were that's
Nostradamus.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I also want to be like, hey, wait, I'm also the guy that told you Trey Lance and Justin Fields have problems throwing the football, and I got shouted at for it. And that's the truth. And now nobody wants to go, hey, Chris, you were right about that aspect. It pisses me off in this business sometimes. But I do think that's why they did that. And, I think, too, he's the guy that every organization gets scared to get rid of. There's a reason, like, Sean Payton liked him coming out in the draft, and Shanahan liked him, and you heard other top offensive guys going, ooh, I see some Rodgers, Mahomes-ish type traits, right? We see some throws. They've seen things in practice and games where they go, that's special, and they don't want to give up on that. So we'll see where it goes, but I think it's in a good spot for him to grow in the right direction.
And to counter the question, the Jets have not signed a real backup.
No.
Tim Boyle is not the guaranteed number 2 quarterback. They are operating right now, and there's nothing left of the market, like Zach Wilson's the number 2.
Yes, right. And he should be. And again, they're going to have a greater appreciation for Zach Wilson when this OTAs get done, because the receivers, too, they're going to start to go, damn, Wilson's arm's actually as strong as – they're going to appreciate his physical ability more, and now he can refine things. But again, we've seen some high-level stuff from Zach Wilson. And at the end of the 2021 season, I mean, he played some good football, and he was kind of a machine throwing the football. Had Brady and the Bucs on the ropes.
The Bucs game comes to mind for me.
Right. I mean, he had some good games there. Beat the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence that year and down the stretch. Did some really positive things. Last year, it started off okay, but then he got lost in this, let me throw it sidearm, let me step here and throw it this angle and that angle, and it just all compiled into worse and worse play for him.
This next one, an Aaron Rodgers question from Hockeytown71. What are your realistic projections for Rodgers this year in New York? Rodgers last year, 26 touchdowns, 12 picks, about 3,700 passing yards. It's funny to call that a down year, but by Aaron Rodgers standards, that was a down year.
Definitely a down year. Worst year of his career. I think Rodgers is one of those guys that we talk about where I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive, right? Anybody that's been listening to my podcast over the last year and a half, everybody knows that's my complaint about Rodgers the last few years. It's just a little bit of conservative nature, doing what you said, taking the check down where I go, wait, the in cut over the middle for 15 yards is open.
How much does the broken thumb impact something like that?
Well, it was there, but it was there the year before. I got on it in the 49ers divisional playoff loss. That's at the end of that season in 2021. That was when I started to kind of hit on it a little bit. There's some plays being left on the field. Now, I think realistically, do we see a year here of like, I'm going to say low 30s in the touchdown pass department and like 8 or 9 interceptions, right? That's where I think I don't think this is an offense that's conducive of, and nor do I think they want to play where throw it 45 times a game. We want to throw for 4,800 yards.
Need to.
They shouldn't. They're going to play defense. I think they want to run the football a little bit that way, right? And then they're going to execute the offense with let's take a shot here and there to Garrett Wilson and company. And I think that's kind of how it's going to play out with the Jets.
Right. You look at their personnel. Even bringing in Lazard, keeping Corey Davis. Those guys are good receivers, but they're great blockers.
Yes, they are.
It feels like they'd rather be a little bit. We could punch you in the face, but when we need Aaron Rodgers to be Aaron Rodgers, we could ask him to do that.
I think that's the way they're going to play.
Keeps him healthy,
I don't think they're going to open it up and just go, let's just throw the ball every play and do that. No way. Salah's not from that in Seattle and San Francisco before that. Nathaniel Hackett's not like that. He wants balance. I know that. We saw that not only in Green Bay, but even when he was the Jaguars offensive coordinator before that. So, I would expect it to what you're saying, Connor.
This one from Keith Rumer. Hi, CNC. Realistically, what can the Jets expect to achieve this year? In my opinion, we are still squad light, especially for the division, and a few injuries could have us finishing like this year. Love the show, by the way. Makes me look forward to cutting the lawn. That's nice.
Wow.
Fire up Unbuttoned podcast while cutting the lawn.
Wow, that's
a good strategy.
That is a good strategy.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you're firing this one up while mowing the lawn because it is beautiful out here, especially in the tri-state. So here's the Jets odds right now, Simms, to kind of piggyback off the question. This is from our friends at BetMGM. Their win total is set at 9.5. If you go over that, obviously minus 130. To make the playoffs, minus 160. So BetMGM is expecting the Jets to make the playoffs. To win the AFC East, not so much, plus 225. To win the AFC, plus 800. To win the Super Bowl, plus 1,400. So these odds are kind of telling you that the public expects the Jets to be a playoff team. They think they can get to that double-digit win marker, which would be a really big change for them considering the last decade.
That's right.
But anything after that feels a little bit house money-ish.
That's right.
Do you agree with the book here?
I think so. I do agree with the book.
I do too.
I mean, I can't pick them to win the division. But
you have to see it.
I got to see it. Well, the division's like we've been talking about.
Division's hell.
I've never seen it this good.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm dead serious. I don't think it's ever been this good from top to bottom, at least in my lifetime. I know in the mid-'80s there, like the Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots were pretty damn good, right? They were. It was It was different then, too. It was Buffalo and the Colts were also in the division as well. So there is that. But, I mean, the Jets team, I think is as talented as you guys have been in a long time, maybe since the Rex Ryan years.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
I look at that and really probably look at it and go, I think your offense has got more talent than that. I do think they're a playoff caliber football team. The defense is special, and I think it's only going to get better. You know, of course we think the offense is going to be better, right? So, yeah, I look at them as like kind of what BetMGM does. A playoff team that I don't expect to win the AFC East, and I don't expect them to see them in the AFC Championship game either. I don't. But I don't think it's crazy with their roster. I don't. You know, but yeah, it's some teams that are battle-tested and really damn good in the AFC that, you know, I got to see it to believe it first, to say they're going to dethrone Mahomes or Joe Burrow or any of them in the AFC.
It's tough when your division doesn't have the gimme wins, right? There's not a bad team in the division. Like New England's always going to play up to their opponent. They're going to be a handful, and then obviously what needs to be said about Buffalo.
Right.
And then we know what Miami could do. It's just staying healthy at the quarterback position.
Miami's got the best roster in the division.
That's the funny part, and especially the Fangio hire probably moves the needle more for them than almost any other move.
Exactly.
The Jets do have the fourth best odds to win the AFC behind Kansas City, of course. They're plus 330. The Bengals are plus 500. Buffalo's plus 500. And then you have Miami and Jacksonville after them at
Their
plus
team
1200.
is better than Buffalo. It's just they got Josh Allen.
And he can win you any
He can
game.
win. I mean, as we know,
Single-handedly.
he's right. Allen, like Mahomes, it's just like a one-man show. They can almost do it by themselves. That's where they're scary, you know. So that's where you look at it and go, hey, that's a positive. It definitely is. But like you said, that's just not a given against that guy or the Patriots, who, yeah, you're more talented than the Patriots too as the Jets. But the Patriots are good. We know that. And, of course, they're coached, and they usually game plan the right way.
The action never stops at BetMGM. Sign up now using bonus code SIMS, and your first wager is risk-free up to $1,000.
So say you are a crazy mofo and you bet $100 on the Jets to win the Super Bowl. If you win, you will make $1,400. But if you lose, you still get $100 worth of free bets, Connor.
That's pretty nice. The Jets can't let you down for once in that scenario. It's nice.
They'll find a way.
Simply download the BetMGM app today or go to BetMGM.com and enter bonus code SIMS to make your first wager risk-free up to $1,000. All right, Simms, we got a couple more questions here before we get out of here. We are not done.
Where you want to go here?
We are on the rookie train here with the Saints. Kendre Miller. Victor Tosi asked, thoughts on Kendre Miller to the Saints? I found it kind of interesting they drafted I don't want to say bruiser, but definitely an in-between-the-tackles runner, considering the running back roster they have.
Well, I think the Kamara, you're getting here to the end, right?
It feels that way.
Right? And so that's where I think they're planning for the future. Miller's a player.
He is very good.
He really is. I mean, you talk about bouncing off tackles, one of those guys where you're like, I don't know, it doesn't look fast, but yet people don't seem to catch him a whole lot there. Right? So he can be a bell cow type running back. I think that's the positives with him. And then, even in the pass game, it wasn't a thing he was like huge in at TCU, but felt like it seemed comfortable to him. I don't think he racked up a huge number of receptions there or anything like that,
but capable.
Right? But I didn't remember having any issues with him in the pass game, right? So, and again, I think they're a team with that O-line and what they do, they got a chance to really pose some problems for you on the offensive side of the ball. Michael Thomas being back at receiver, Olave, our man Rashid Shaheed, right? Yeah. They got some heat there. Jawan Johnson at tight end. So there's some things I like about that Saints football team.
Yeah, and Kamara's going to be most likely suspended for a large chunk of this year.
Because of the Vegas incident,
most
right?
likely.
Jamal
Williams.
Jamal Williams. That's who I'm missing there. Yeah.
Jamal Williams, Kendre Miller, 1-2 punch.
Exactly.
You're not struggling.
You're definitely not struggling. And I like Jamal Williams. I do. I think Kendre Miller has a a chance to be a little bit more explosive or a big play-oriented type of guy compared to Jamal Williams.
He's probably your early down. Jamal, you could throw out there on third downs and goal line. But
I think that's what I feel he is.
Yeah, if Kamara's out, like Kendre Miller
can do it all those stuff.
He's the guy.
I mean, he was in the shotgun, pass protecting, and doing all that stuff. So he certainly should feel comfortable in every aspect of an NFL offense.
This one from Nigel J. Bryant. Is Kareem Hunt still a starter in this league? It's been a bad market for the running backs.
Horrible.
You have Fournette, Hunt, Zeke. They're all just out there.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're not as good as the young, talented guys in the league. I don't know,
And nobody wants to dictate any cap space to those guys.
No, cap space or, guys that, it's a lot of wear and tear and history and the numbers show that those are guys usually get hurt. Wait, so we're going to give cap space to a guy that, might not be able to play for us for the whole year, do that type of stuff there, and is not that special of a player anymore, So Kareem Hunt, let me just say this. I do think he's better than Fournette and Zeke Elliott at this point in his career.
I agree, too.
I would certainly say that. But I think
he's a pass game, too,
right?
Yeah.
Right. But I think he's a really, there's probably a team or two that I'm missing where I go, he can maybe be the starter, but I'm not even sure about that, actually, as the more I look at the teams here. I think he's really, you'd want him as your really awesome number 2. That's what Kareem Hunt still is. Still a really good number 2. But I don't know if I look at any team and go, he should start over that guy. Do you? Is there anybody that jumps off to you?
The only scenario I can even think of is if Javonte Williams is really not where he needs to be.
The Broncos,
then you look at the Broncos and go, okay, Kareem Hunt and Samaje Perine, but I might play Perine over Hunt for the early downs still.
I hear you. But yeah, but that's you're saying. It's a special scenario.
You got to go through a lot of hoops to get there. That's not a good thing.
A lot of teams, right? I mean, Arizona's a team where I look at, right? Are we missing anybody there? And that, there's no bona fide star at running back or anybody like that there where I can go, okay, maybe he could be a starter there. Do they re-signed James Conner, right? He's still there.
He's in Arizona, yep.
He's in Arizona still, right? Yeah.
There's not a lot of places.
So that's the only place I can, maybe one place I'd look at, Carolina, maybe another one.
Miles Sanders, though.
Miles Sanders is there too.
It's tough, man.
Right,
it's tough.
I'd put him in that class. So that's another team
that's
where
fair.
I could go. Okay, maybe he could start there. But after that, I think it's a short list.
This next one from Steve Dorn. How do you break down the NFL with your son? Are you already breaking down tape, plays, strategy, or just enjoying the game? By the way, this is Speedy Stevie. I played wide receiver for Matt in high school at Bosco.
What up, Stevie?
Speedy Stevie.
What up, man?
That's awesome.
Speedy Stevie, baby. I don't break down anything like that. No tapes, play, strategy.
Way too early, right?
Just have fun.
Let it be fun.
Just have fun. Do we, if we have a catch or maybe we're watching Mahomes or Burrow, I might go, hey, look what he does when he throws, or hey, keep your front shoulder in, But no, it's about having fun at this point. He's in 6th grade. He right now is in baseball season, so we're worried about pitching the ball right now. Throwing heaters. That's all we're worried about right there. Just letting him enjoy being a kid and playing the game, and we'll get into that stuff as he gets older if he wants it too. He's got to want it. I'm not going to be the dad that's going to be like, "Hey, sit down."
You're a Simms.
That's not the way my dad was.
Yeah,
my dad was not like that at all. I mean, at all, to the point where, he never taught me anything really until maybe my freshman year in high school. He'd tell you. Where he'd started to go like, hey, just think about this on your follow-through after you throw the football. But he was, involved in his own career and let me do my thing, and I will do that with my son as well.
I think that just helps kids not burn out of a sport.
Exactly.
They really
see it a lot. I saw it a lot growing up.
Me too. Some of the best athletes I played with as a young kid,
right?
They were burnt out by 11th grade.
Definitely.
Because they had lived like a full-time athlete since they were 8 years old.
Exactly right.
That's terrible.
Definitely had a few as well. Best athlete I grew up with, I think by the freshman year, he had given up on everything except for football. He played football, and he didn't even really care about it that much anymore. And I think it was because he had a psycho dad and everything else where it just became too overbearing and annoying. Don't do that. Let kids be kids. You don't have to be a pro at 8 years old.
It's impossible,
doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Just, play all sports, develop all kinds of skills. And you get to high school, then you could start taking the next step in, all right, hey, maybe if you really want to do this, son, then let's start going lessons and start going up to the next level of preparation.
We'll close here on a fun one. This is from Lee Dale, UK. Hey, guys. Thanks for all the great draft insights. Chris, are you cheating on Ahmed on a regular basis now? When will you give us what we all want, a threesome?
Oh, I've been waiting. That's right. You know me, diversity, right? Diversity.
Man.
This is my white cheater here.
Yep.
Ahmed's got a little tan to him. I like a little diversity in the people I mess around with. All right.
Pete instantly regrets putting this in the rundown.
We'll give you a threesome at some point.
Yes,
we will. But yes, right now we're not cheating on Ahmed. We're actually trying to let Ahmed catch his breath.
We're trying to keep him alive. The guy is the hardest working man here at NBC.
He's got it going.
Yeah.
He definitely does. But if I have to cheat, yeah, I cheat with Connor Rodgers. That's right. All right.
Man, we have had a good time.
We had a great time. And thanks for that question at Lee Dale, UK. Big weekend over in the UK this weekend with the coronation and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Was Meghan Markle in the crowd in a disguise? I saw something like that. I didn't really follow all the stories.
A lot of drama over there? Okay.
Sounds like there's always drama there. But all right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. That's the pod. It's Monday, AMA. Wednesday, Ahmed will be back in hosting, and we're going to, I think, do something very similar along those lines as far as just dissect certain things around the league. We might take a few subjects and do it on our own, and then we want questions from you once again, because guess what happens on Monday? Next Monday, it's here once again, the Chris Simms Top 40 Quarterback Countdown.
Yeah.
It's been about, let me check, 3 weeks since everybody can shit on me for something. So here it comes again for all of you. One more time, the Chris Simms Top 40 Countdown. But hey, thanks for driving the ship today.
Dude,
you're the
no
man.
sweat. It's always a blast. I appreciate you guys having me. A lot of fun. And I'm excited to see the outrage you caused with the top 40 quarterback countdown.
I'm sure I will. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. Brady's number 41. Jalen Hurts, where will I have him? That's the other one. Tua. Those are the ones I get the most flack over.
It's going to be,
I think we all know who the top 3 or 4 are. That's for sure. All right, everybody. Peace out. You know where to find us. Ahmed back Wednesday. Everybody be good. Clap it up. Yo, thanks for watching, homies. It's the off season, but you know there's no off season for us here at Unbuttoned. Me, Ahmed Fareed, we're going to hit all the stories. So hit subscribe for us, okay? We got a ton coming up. My draft prospect rankings, my Simms Top 40 Quarterback Countdown, and videos of me and NFL QBs playing catch and talking about their development and mechanics. Again, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. See you soon.